Hey, Daniel, so talk to us. What's one piece of advice you can give us this Monday morning?
So my advice that I've always lived in is to start with the end in mind. I think a
Mm,
lot what I've done in business and personal, and I know with a lot of help, people have done this, but what I mean by that is when you can visualize what you want at the end of what you're doing. So let's say it's a race, school, or it's starting your dental office, whatever it is what do you want to end up with? So do you want to end up with five offices, or do you want to be a single practice owner, and you want to just be a small little office and be a $2 million office, but start with that $2 million in your mind instead of saying, I'm going to start here. Because then what you do, you can plan out to it. So it's like I do with my goals. All my goals is what do I want to accomplish at the end? And then I work my way backwards. And so I say, okay, if I'm going to run, so like I was talking to you a little bit, we ran the Disney half marathon. So I
mhm.
start with my time. I know I have to run 13.1 miles. I want my time to be this. And then I work backwards. How do I get my time through workouts and training to get my end goal? Does that make sense? Same with the practice. So if I want to be a $2 million practice, what does that look like? Can I do it with one op, or do I need five ops? Do I need one hygienist? Do I need three hygienists? And then plan it backwards and go backwards. So if it's $2 million office or a $5 million office, how does that look? I'm going to have to hire associates sometime. So you have to plan that and get that all planned out and be willing to be flexible. I think the thing with when you start with end in mind is you have to be very, very flexible, knowing things are going to come. We all know life goes ups and downs. And so but when you have your end goal, it gives you something to shoot for. And my thing is I always shoot for bold. So like my end in mind might be a bold goal because I know a lot of us will set goals and it'll just be something we know we can hit. And I
Mm.
like to do it a little bit harder. So like going back to the race, if I'm going to set a goal I usually run about an 30-minute pace for a half marathon. So if I set a goal for 8 minutes, it's a bold goal, but then I have to push myself. So it gives me a reason to push, knowing that I'm a little bit outside my comfort zone. So that's really my thing, that the one piece of advice I'd give you is start with the end in mind and then work backwards. And that's, you can go for personal, you can go for school if you're still in school, it can go for where you just start your business, and even go if you're at the end of your career and you're looking to sell. So your end goal would be sell my practice. So let's say you're 50 years old or 55 and you want to get out in 5 years. So what does that look like? I want to sell it. Okay, what do you have to do to get to I want to sell my practice for X amount of dollars. So don't just have it as I want to sell my practice. Be specific. We've all heard of SMART goals, but be
Mhm.
specific about it and then work your way backwards. Okay, well, I need to build up my patient base because I know my equipment and my building might not be worth as much as my patients. So would be my advice. And there's lots of ways to do
Gotcha.
it. So lots of people have talked about this. It's in lots of books, but for me, it's always been the one thing that I've done with my goals. And it's helped me achieve majority of my goals.
Yeah, like the reverse engineering part. Has it ever happened, Daniel, where halfway through the end kind of changes your
Oh
end
yeah.
goal? You're like, oh, and then it kind of just derails you from everything else right now.
No, not derails. For me, when it changes like that, what happens is usually it changes where that end goal might switch to something else. So let me give you, this is
Mhm.
something in business. I started a business 8, 9 years ago. It started one way. And as that business started to grow, I realized there was another product that we were doing that was actually going to be better than what I started out with. So my end goal was to get this one part of the business growing. And I realized probably a third of the way to know my business is going to go this other way. So all I did was readjust. I moved my goal saying, okay, this business is still viable, but I'm going to move it to what's really working. So I just readjusted the end goal. So I don't think end goals need to be like a rock saying, I'm going to put my stake here and that's the only way I'm going to go. You have to be flexible, knowing
Mhm.
that you might have that end in mind, but it can change. And if you're willing to be flexible with the change, usually it's works even better because in a dental practice, you might have an end goal of $5 million, like you want to be a $5 million practice, but you realize, wait a second, maybe it's not going to work in traditional dentistry. Maybe I'm going to end up bringing on an endodontist or somebody else
Mhm.
like that, where it's going to go a different direction, but it's going to bring me to my final goal. That's why if you, on your end goal, if you can be specific about it, if you want to be flexible, it helps. So things do change. I mean, we all know life. I mean, I have 4 kids. I thought it was going to be easy. All my kids are going to be the same. Yeah, right. They all have different personalities. They do different things. They like different things. And so you just have to be willing to be flexible. But my own goal with my kids is get them my education, grow up in a happy home, things like that. And so the main part of it didn't change, but their personalities and what they want to do has all changed.
Gotcha. Do you have like specific, like big, so for example, you said you own businesses, right? And I'm
Yep.
sure the end goal for that was like, because I want to have like freedom, right? I don't want to have to clock in, clock out. I want to be able to do all this, right? So that would be like the main goal, right? And then you're kind
Yep.
of reverse engineering. Okay, I need to own my own businesses. I need to do that and this. Has it ever been to a point where you're like, and not that you lose the vision of the end goal, but you're stuck in a part of the goal for so long, and you're like, should I just give up? Should I change it? Should I do? It's been years and I haven't even hit this yet. And it's another associate quit or something like that.
Yeah. I don't think the quit part of it is not something I would ever do, but adjusting, absolutely. Because I think if you're not willing to adjust, like you said, associates. I mean, if you're in a practice, we have 5 associates in our practice. So we have 3 practices. We just opened a 4th one. And so we have associates, and you have team members quit. And so they derail, but that goal doesn't mean the goal needs to change. It just might put it out longer, right? So if you had a 5-year goal and all of a sudden something happened, let's say you get divorced and your spouse takes half your stuff, that goal doesn't need to change. You just might have to adjust it to a longer timeline, right? Or, I was talking about businesses. My end goal was I call it beach time. Where can I get to where I'm making money, where I can chill on the beach? So I'm on the beach and I'm still making money. It's just kind of a broad perspective. And so I realize in dentistry, we can make good money in dentistry. But really where we make the money in dentistry is doing other things, investing in other products. And crypto was big a couple of years ago. I did a bunch of stuff into crypto, worked out very, very well for me. And I did it early enough on, but it's the same thing with stocks and investments, real estate, those things that are long lasting investments. Dentistry is going to be bread and butter. So for my goal, the end goal of beach time or making beach money was, what do I have to do to surround myself other than dentistry that'll help me get there? Because dentistry makes a great living. You're never going to get super wealthy being a dentist. Some people do. You hear people like, I sold a DSO and I had 10, 15, 20 practices. Great. That's really, really good. But majority of dentists are not like that, right? They go to work like everybody else. They make a good living, but they don't become wealthy off of it. The ones that become wealthy are the ones that are willing to take a little risk in investing in other businesses or looking outside the box of saying, okay, dentistry is my main bread and butter, but what can I do? So if your end goal was to, let's say, retire at 50 with $20 million, whatever it is, okay, dentistry is not going to get you that. So what other things you have to pull in? Real estate might be one. And you might want to invest in another company. Maybe somebody's coming out with a new intraoral camera. Said, hey, you should invest in this. Things like that. Where do you find little niches where you can invest in that can make more money? But with that, you have to be willing. I've done that a bunch in different things, and you lose money too. And so you do go up. It's like life, you go up, and then you have step backs. But it doesn't mean it changes that end goal. So those setbacks should actually just firm your resolution of, okay, what else do I need to do? Don't be stupid and keep investing in stupid things. Be smart, do your research. But the key is you always have dentistry to fall back on. Like dentistry is going to be bread and butter. So I tell people, like, if you have extra money, you have to be willing to lose it. Money will help you make more money. I think that's where a lot of wealthy people become wealthy, is because they use their money that they've made to make more money. And they don't sit on it. I mean, some are maybe frivolous with it, but most of them are pretty smart with what they have. And they invest in other things, and they count on maybe two out of 10 things are going to work. But those 2 out of 10 things really do very well, and it can help them expound on their end goal.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's good. Can I ask, Daniel, what were the 2 out of 10 things at the beginning for you where you're like, wait, I recommend you should invest in this? If somebody were to show you their options.
So for me, number one would be real estate. If you have a chance to get in real estate, it can be a pain in the butt in the beginning. It's not a get rich tomorrow thing. It is a get rich long-term thing. So buy your practice, buy your property for your practice, pay yourself lease. If you can, buy other properties where maybe it's in a strip mall, maybe it's, so it can be both commercial and residential. And then in the beginning, build it where enough to where you can manage it, but eventually hand it off to somebody else to do it. It's the same thing with your team in your office. You're not answering the phones, doing hygiene. You hire people to do those things for you. And it's the same thing with real estate. You get to a certain point where you're like, all right, I need somebody to manage my buildings. They manage all my stuff for me. I'm going to pay them a percentage. It still works out for you very, very well in the long run. And then the second part is do the investing, stocks, all that stuff, whatever you want to find. That's another good way where it's a long term. Short term is just, you got to find things that maybe are new into the market. It doesn't have to be dentistry. It can be really anything. And so find groups or people that you can trust and be willing to lose money. So those investments, those are the ones that are going to make you the most money, the ones that are risky. So like, for example, I talked about crypto. I invested a bunch of money into crypto, 5 years ago. into crypto farms where they actually and I even built my own crypto machines because I want to know how it all works. I built,
Wow.
yeah. So if you looked in my office, I have in one of our back rooms, I probably have 100 crypto mining machines that are just chilling there now because crypto's just doing okay. So it's either break even. But when it started, I just took a chance and it made me very, very good money. I got lucky. That's really what it was. It was an up and coming thing. COVID happened, and so crypto prices just skyrocketed. But it's those type of things that can help you. Now, not everybody's going to do those things, but the best thing about that is when I invested into those things, I realized like if I lost it all, I still had my job and I still had my brain. And I think that's where people forget. Like, get so worried about either you or a spouse or somebody you're with, get worried about losing everything, and they don't want to start over because all of us get comfortable. But the ones that can make real good money are willing to lose it, knowing that if I lost everything today, tomorrow I'd start over. And I know that I can make it all back by working hard and just doing what I know, right? It's not like when we're starting over. I think people would think like, oh, you're not gonna have any money, you're not gonna have any food. No, that's not how that works. If you have a practice and you're working, you're still making money. You can still put food on the table. You just lost everything you invested in. So let's say if it's $300,000 or $500,000 or $1 million, you lose all that. It's gone. It sucks. It does suck, but you can start over again. Man, I think that's where a lot of people get a little nervous because they're like, I can't risk this $50,000. Really? Like $50,000 for a chance to maybe make $250,000? It's risky, but would you really be that worse off if you lost that $50,000? I mean, yeah, it sucks, but it's not going to kill you. Like you're not going to lose your house. You're not losing your family. You're not going to not have food on your table. I mean, we live in America. We've done mission trips in different parts of the country for dentistry, and you see the way other people live, and you're like, man, dirt floors, buckets in the corner for the bathrooms. We would never have to worry about that. And so it's just a kind of a different mindset. So a lot of it all just deals down to mindset. Like, no, start with the end in mind, having a mindset of moving forward no matter what, being able to adjust as needed, and then being willing to take risks.
Nice. Awesome, Daniel. Thank you so much for this, and I appreciate it. And if anyone has further questions, where can they reach out to you?
Will you put a link up or something like that? They can just reach out to me if they want to call me or send me an email, either one. Like, I have no issue talking to people what we've done, me and my brother, to build our practices and also invest into other things. Like I'm not a financial advisor, so this would be just what we've done. Everybody's gonna have their own thing, but that would be the best thing. I'll give you that information. They can just reach out to me.
Awesome. So guys, that's going to be in the show notes below. So definitely check that out. And at the same time, Daniel, thank you so much for being with me on this Monday morning episode.
Yeah, thanks for having me.